assuming viewers of my channel are also fans of the Summer I Turned Pretty TV series. I want to know your thoughts on episode 4 that just came out because my mind is blown. On one hand, I can't help but hate the way Billy mocked Conrad for calling their decision to get married ridiculous. And I'm practically swooning over the fact that despite Conrad overhearing all of this, he decides to stay back in Cousins and not take his summer job because he hears Billy crying and he bakes her muffins and wishes her a belated birthday. Y'all, like, honestly, people who are still on Team Jeremiah, what are you guys doing? Go to Team Conrad. He is the best man ever. He doesn't deserve whatever is happening to him in this series so far. I love that man so much. But that is not the reason why we're here today. I just needed to get that off my chest because I need somebody to talk to this series about, because people in my life are not fans of the show like I am. You guys will have to do. If you want to totally comment on the episode, like in the comments, I would love to chat with you guys about it. Coming to the reason why we're all here today, it's obviously because I'm gonna talk about every single book I read in July. If you watched my previous reading wrap up, you might know that I've already discussed a lot about what I planned on reading in July, and you will be happy to know that I actually ended up reading most of the books that I specifically put on my July TBR list. Look at this stack. Look at this stack of books. Are you kidding me? Look at how thick each book is. I honestly don't think I've ever been more proud of myself for anything I've done in my life before, because I read books this thick with 2 C's in a month. These books have more than like 350 pages. Some even cross the limit and go beyond 400 pages, and the text is like so tiny, and yet I managed to read all of them. So let's discuss every single book I read this month, because the books I read this month are absolutely amazing to die for, that I think you guys, if you love the same genres as I do, you need to put on your TBRs. The first book that I read this month is called Shattered Mind by Ella Swift. It's part of the Cooper Chase series, and I actually impulsively bought this book on Kindle, not really knowing much about the plot. But I read it, and it's essentially detective fiction. So you have this detective, Cooper Chase, who finds out that he has a neurodegenerative disorder, which means that he's like gonna lose his memory soon, and it already like starts affecting him in his day-to-day life. He's like starts getting these headaches and like he feels dizzy. But Cooper Chase, being the FBI agent that he is, he loves solving cases too much. He loves his job too much, and he doesn't really want to give up his job. So he decides that he's not going to tell any of his co-workers about this diagnosis of his, and instead just pretend as if everything is fine and like focus on the job. And of course, when he finds out news about his diagnosis, there's also the fact that there's a serial killer on the loose, and the serial killer essentially killed women who are, I actually forgot it. Like, this book wasn't really my favorite, which is why I'm not able to recall much of the details. This serial killer happens to kill like women in their 20s, and every time he kills them, he like shatters a mirror and spreads those pieces around the victim's body. So that's kind of like his MO. Cooper is like trying to figure out what the motive of this killer is. Why is he unaliving so many people, and like what is his like end goal? He obviously has to race against time and catch this killer before he can go ahead and kill even more people. And there's also obviously the fact that Cooper is suffering because of his diagnosis. He like gets headaches and stuff, and he can't really like rely on his mind like he used to help him solve these cases. That's pretty much the gist of the book. If you like detective fiction, I think you'll enjoy this book. If you like Hercule Poirot mysteries by Agatha Christie, you might enjoy this book. But For me personally, the killer's motives in the book didn't really stick with me, didn't really make an impact I was hoping it would make. It kind of felt a little flat. I hope you get what I'm saying. That's what I felt reading this book. Honestly, if you are thinking about skipping any of the books I'm talking about in this video, then you're probably better off not reading Shattered Mind. But if you are on the look for a short book, something you can like finish in a day, and if you are one of those people who wants to like reach their reading goal faster, then you can add this book because it has like only like 200 pages or something. So that's for Shattered Mind. All the next books that I read in July are all physical books. Like, I covered a good chunk of my physical TBR, so I am super proud of myself. Let's get started. After reading Shattered Mind, I picked up another mystery. Actually, let me pause there a second. I was supposed to read Pride and Prejudice. Some personal circumstances came up and I had to put Pride and Prejudice down, and I was like, okay, well, I just need a complete switch. I need to shift gears and like read something completely different. So I finally ended up picking 9 Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty. This book has been on my TBR for the better part of last year. I ended up finding this at a book fair. So this is like a second-hand book, and I just picked it up because I'd heard that she was a really good writer and that her mysteries are really amazing to read. I picked this book up and read it. The story essentially follows 9 strangers who sign up for this 10-day health retreat of sorts, and this health retreat is kind of in the middle of nowhere. And when they get there, they obviously get acquainted with other people, and they also get to know the manager of the retreat, and this manager is like the amazingly beautiful Masha. Once that all happens, things get weird. Masha starts like enforcing these like ridiculous rules that all these 9 people at the retreat have to follow. There's like this set timetable that they're supposed to follow, and as you're reading the book, things just start getting more and more ridiculous. And of course, people's secrets start coming out because these 9 strangers who have gone to the retreat are all going through something in their own personal lives, and they're just trying to seek perfection. So that is kind of the major theme of this book. You see how the book is told from all the 9 people's perspectives, and you see how each of these people assume things about other people, and that's kind of a lesson in how you don't really know what the other person is going through. You find out what each of these people at the retreat are going through. There's like topics of grief that is discussed in here. There's also stuff about being lost in life, having no purpose, and how that can make you feel. All that is discussed in here, and it's relatable in a lot of ways. And of course, there's a wide array of characters. You see a single woman who's attending this retreat. You see a couple whose marriage is in peril and they're at this retreat because they want to try and fix their marriage. Then you also see there's also a family that is attending this retreat, and you see why they're doing it. What is it that they are going through? This book is not a murder mystery. I just want to put that out there. I initially went into this book thinking that it was going to be a mystery of sorts, like somebody was gonna get killed at the retreat or something, but that is not what happens. This is not a murder mystery. This is more of like psychological fiction. I mean, I don't know if that's the right term for it, but you essentially find out a lot about different people's inner thoughts and how thoughts vary from person to person, how people are prone to making assumptions based on just outer appearance and know nothing about what the person is actually going through in their mind. The ending of this book really took me by surprise. It was kind of sweet, I would say. I know that it might not be making sense to you if you haven't read this book, but I'll tell you one thing. Don't go into this book with any sort of expectations. I feel like you would enjoy this book a lot more if you knew nothing about it. And also, one of the other reasons why I wanted to read this book is because the Amazon TV series adaptation of this book is on Amazon India. So I thought I could read this book and then watch the series, but it's been a month and I haven't even gotten around to watching the series yet. I don't know if I will, to be honest. If you guys have watched the series, then let me know in the comments how it is. Hopefully I'll be convinced enough to go and check out the series for myself. That is for 9 Perfect Strangers. I gave this book, I think, like a 4.3 stars. A really good read. Then I read my top favorite small town romance series, which is Knockemout series by Lucy Score, and I loved it so much. There's also a reading blog out that you can check out. I've like explained everything about the series in explicit detail in that reading blog. I'm gonna try and keep this short. I'll be honest, I was super hesitant to get into this series because before reading this series I had initially read another Lucy Score book which is called By a Thread, and I remember that at the time of reading I did enjoy the book, but then immediately after finishing it I pretty much forgot like 90% of the plot. I just remembered that the FMC was like down on her luck kind of gal, and the MMC was like this boss of this fashion empire or something, you know, like Devil Wears Prada kind of vibes. That's pretty much all I remember about the book, and I was scared that the same would happen with this series, but this series proved me wrong, you guys. This is one of the best small town romances I have ever read in my life. It is also one of the best romantic suspenses I've ever read in my life. This whole series triumphs over the Eden series, you guys. I know, very shocking, but it's true. I loved this so much. So this entire series is essentially about 3 brothers. This person is kind of more of an honorary brother. You get the deal. It's about 3 brothers, and each book obviously revolves around each of these brothers falling in love. The first book is Things We Never Got Over, which is Knox and Naomi's story. Naomi is a runaway bride who comes into Knockemout to help out her twin sister because her twin sister calls her telling that, you know, I'm in trouble, I need your help. Naomi goes there, but to no one's surprise at all, the twin sister is evil and she ends up stealing Naomi's car and her money and leaves behind only her 11-year-old daughter for Naomi to take care of. So Naomi is like stuck in this town without a job, without money, without, you know, living facilities. And Knox, being the man that he is, grumpy bad boy with a savior complex, steps in to help Naomi out, and that's their story. And one of the reasons why I like love this series is because the small town trope in this series actually small towns. And what I mean by that is small towns in my head tend to be like this environment where the other residents of the small town happen to be nosy and everybody knows everybody else's business, and they're all like really meddlesome and trying to like get into these main characters' love lives and like hitch them up or separate them. And you see that throughout this entire series. There are like so many side characters throughout this series you get to meet. Each one of those side characters are as memorable as ever in their own right. I still remember their names. I loved them as I got to read the scenes they were in throughout the book. This entire series, the environment, the world building is perfection, you guys. So that we have Things We Never Got Over. Then the second book is Things We Hide From the Light, which follows Knox's younger brother Nash, and he ends up falling in love with Knox's ex-girlfriend Lynn. Lynn is kind of the bad girl, and Nash is the opposite of Knox in that he is the good boy. He's the chief of police in Knockemout, and Lynn ends up moving in next door to him, and she is hiding secrets about why she really is in this town. And when Nash finds out what the secrets are, it like instantly drives a wedge between them. But the tension between them is sizzling. Honestly, this is one of the best slow burns I have ever read. This book could give Mariana Zapata's romances a run for its money. I'm not even kidding. If you love slow burns, then you have to read this book. Obviously, after reading this book, because it spoils stuff. Read this book, you guys. I'm not kidding you. If you love slow burn romances, then this book will steal your heart. The slow burn, like, I remember it takes them like 300 pages to finally kiss. It's also not tedious at all. Like the tension and the build-up of the relationship is written in such a fantastic way. I promise you, you will not be bored for a single second reading this series. And also, let me tell you guys, the romantic suspense plot that you see, it like starts in this book and carries over all the way until the final book. And obviously the final book is about Lucian Rollins, and he ends up falling in love with his next door neighbor from when they were kids. They initially have history, which is hinted at in the first two books, so you see their build up from the very first book. You see the tension that's there between them. This, in the final book, you finally get to see them find their happily ever after. So Lucian Rollins is this like billionaire bad boy, and his love interest is Sloane Walton. She is the town's librarian, and she's like super feisty and has an amazing personality. I would love to be friends with her. These two are next door neighbors. If you loved reading The Right Move by Liz Stromford, I think you're gonna enjoy this book a lot. If you loved reading Neanderthal Seeks Human by Penny Reed and The Right Move by Liz Stromford, then this is the book for you. Lucian Rollins is so similar to Ryan Shea. If you love, like, you know, acts of service, that kind of thing, then you need to read this book. If you love sizzling tension and chemistry and slow burn, you need to read this book. Just read the entire series, you guys. This is one of the best series I have ever read in my whole life, and I am definitely going to reread the series. I give all the books in the series 5 stars, which I've done for the very first time. I've never in my life ever given every book in a series 5 stars. If that's not convincing enough for you to pick up the series, then I don't know what else is gonna convince you, but trust me, you're gonna love the series if you haven't already picked it up. Then, to my surprise, the next book I read after the series was also a 5 stars, and that is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This is the third book in the Part of Your World series, and this follows Justin and Emma. Justin and Emma have like this romantic curse where every time they date someone and break up, their ex goes on to find their soulmate with the next person they meet. Justin ends up talking about all this on his Reddit thread, which goes viral. People like start wanting to like interview him and all that, and Emma, who is living in like a totally different state, hears about this, and she's like, wow, I am going through the same thing. They decide that they're going to date each other and break up so that the next person they date is gonna end up being their soulmate. She ends up moving into his small town, and she's a traveling nurse, so it's easy for her. She makes the move, and she like is in the small town as him, and they start dating each other, but obviously they end up falling in love with each other instead. The romance between these guys is like so wholesome. It is funny, it is emotional, it's gonna make you cry, it's gonna tug at your heartstrings, and it's going to make you believe in love, you guys. If you are not a believer in romance and all that, then I think you definitely need to give this book a chance and read it, because Justin's monologue at the end of the book, it is some of the best writing I have ever read. And I'm not even joking, you guys. I know that every person who has read this book has spoken about how amazingly well it is written, and I'm here to support those claims. This book is just absolute perfection. The connection between Justin and Emma is off the charts. The way these two help each other out through their, you know, personal circumstances is just, it's so good, you guys. This book honestly makes me want and believe that I will find someone like the way these two have found each other. I love this book so much, you guys. It's one of my all-time favorites. Quotes in this book, amazing. It's so good. I need you guys to read this book. Seriously, if you are going to read one of the books that I've spoken about in this video, this has to be it. If not the Knockemout series, but still read that as well, okay? That's for Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Then after this, I read another series, Go Me. And this is the Inheritance Games series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Now, I was initially convinced to read the Inheritance Games because of Haley Pham, who has raved about the series a lot in her YouTube videos. She spoke about how the Inheritance Games is similar to the plot of the movie Knives Out, which is also one of my favorite movies. I had to pick up the series. I am ashamed to admit that it's taken me like 2 years to get around to reading the series, but at least I've done it. So I read the entire series, and I'm not gonna explain like all the books in the series because very like interconnected, continuous, and I can't really like talk about the next 3 books in this series without spoiling the plot. So I'm just gonna explain the first book. The first book follows Avery Grams, who is she's an orphan who is living with her sister, and one day she ends up meeting Grayson Hawthorne, who tells her that your name is in my grandfather's will, so you need to be there present at his will reading. And Avery is confused, like, what the hell, why would this billionaire Tobias Hawthorne, the grandfather, he's like this world famous billionaire, so Avery starts wondering like why the hell would this billionaire like have my name in his will. So she kind of goes to the Hawthorne family house in Texas, and she's like, okay, well, maybe he's kept some money out for me, which is great for me. I can like use it for my future education. She goes there, and to everyone's surprise and shock and anger and like take your pick, she ends up finding out that the entire Hawthorne fortune, like the house, the money, the assets, everything is under Avery's name. Now, Avery is not related to this family whatsoever. The rest of the Hawthorne family members have never heard of her, and same for her. She's never heard of any of these members. She doesn't know who they are, like what exactly is the work that they do. And she is also equally as surprised to find out that she's inherited the entirety of the fortune. To make matters worse, Tobias Hawthorne, the grandfather, explicitly states in his will that if Avery chooses not to take over this inheritance, then it'll all be given to charity. And if she chooses to take this inheritance, then she has to stay at the Hawthorne house with the rest of the family members for 1 year. And that sounds kind of dangerous because this Hawthorne family obviously has it out for her. They're super angry and wondering why she got all this fortune in the first place. Then there's the fact that Tobias Hawthorne is a man who loves puzzles and riddles, so he's like set up a game for them to figure out why Avery got all the fortune that she did. And from then it's just a roller coaster. It's amazing. The chapters in this book are super short, so you can like breeze through the book. There's also a love triangle in this book kind of throughout the whole series, and this is the very first time I've actually kind of enjoyed a love triangle. And by enjoyed, I mean that I wasn't really sure who Avery was gonna choose because she had amazing chemistry with both the Hawthorne boys. So there are 4 Hawthorne boys in total. You have Grayson Hawthorne, who was supposed to be the heir. He's like the perfect son. Then you have Jameson Hawthorne, who is the adrenaline seeker. He like loves rush, he loves playing games, he loves winning. Then you have the youngest Hawthorne sibling, Xander Hawthorne, who is one of my favorite characters ever. He is adorable. I cannot tell you how many times I found myself like smiling every time he spoke throughout the series. And then of course you have the oldest Hawthorne, Nash Hawthorne. He is like this cowboy kind of guy, and the characters in this series are amazing. I'll just quickly explain the reading order to you guys. You have first Inheritance Games, after which you're gonna read The Hawthorne Legacy. The Hawthorne Legacy, the plot twist in this book blew my mind. Then you have The Final Gambit, which is technically the last book in the Inheritance Game series. But after this, there's also this kind of spin-off, but not really, and that is The Brothers Hawthorne. Avery's entire mystery kind of ends in The Final Gambit, and then you get Brothers Hawthorne, which follows Grayson and Jameson. You get their story. It's really cool. And the subplots in this there's like a there are two romantic subplots that you see throughout the entire series. Obviously, one is Avery's own romance, her love triangle, and then you also see the romance that Avery's sister has with one of the Hawthorne brothers, which I thought was so adorable. This like series gets you into a chokehold because every chapter ends on some sort of cliffhanger that makes you want to continue reading. I'm not even kidding you. I was like so intent on finishing this entire series in the month of July that yesterday on July 31st, I was reading this book as quickly as I could, trying to finish it before midnight. And I remember when I finally finished the last page, it was 11:57. The relief that went through me when I realized that I finished the book in July was like of such high magnitude. This series also has a small like collection of short stories that takes place in the same universe with all these characters, and that book is called Games Untold. I actually wanted to read Games Untold in July, but look at how thick these books are. I couldn't finish them in enough time to read this book. I'm gonna start August with reading this book because I need to read the short stories. I like went through the index page of the book and the short stories sound amazing. They involve a lot of the characters from the series, so I cannot wait to read Games Untold and finally close the chapter on the inheritance games. That's it for all the books I read in July. Video is like super long. I thought I would talk about my August TBR. I'm gonna like save that for another time. I'm gonna end the video right here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I loved all the books that I spoke about in this video. I think you should read all of the books I have spoken about here. There's like, take your pick. There is mystery, there is like these puzzles, riddles, whatever. There's also like amazing small town romances. I think all these books deserve a spot on your TBR, and this was, I feel like, one of the best reading months I've had in this year so far. So I truly cannot wait to jump into August and read more books. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video very soon. Bye.